with another episode. And before we get into it, I want to make it very clear. No, we are not going to be talking about CPNs here on this live. Nothing about this call has anything to do with CPNs. We are going to be talking about another way outside of the social that you guys, as consumers within this corporation, can operate and leverage the FICO credit scoring system. So I'm going to have a special guest on here, a mentor of mine, a coach of mine, a brother of mine, somebody that, if I don't have the answers to something, I'm going to reach out to and ask, and I guarantee you he will. So this is somebody in which I've been learning from the past year and a half, somebody I've been able to attract, manifest into my life, into working with, you know, hand in hand now. And so we got some things in which we want to put together for you guys. Before I have him hop in here, my brother Taquan X, I want to go over a couple things that I feel are needed for all of us to understand prior to going out and building any type of personal credit, profile. And one thing I like to make very, very clear to everybody is that the consumer report is the most important thing. Because if I can control the consumer report, I can control what's on my credit, report, on my credit score. Or I can dictate my credit score by being able to determine my consumer report and being able to control it. And by being able to control it, we're exercising consumer law to be able to discharge anything off of our consumer report. Because we know within the FCRA, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, anything can be removed. All right, if we go into the exclusion section within the definition section of the FCRA, which is Title 15, USC 1681A, the definition section of the FCRA 1681A, if we go down there, if we go to number 3, it'll talk about the exclusions. Right, this is right after defining a consumer report. After it defines a consumer report, it talks about what should be excluded from a consumer report, and it talks about any transaction or experience should be excluded from a consumer's report. Then it talks about right after the definition section and what should be excluded from a consumer report, and it talks about any transaction or experience within that same exclusion section. It also talks about anything with your credit card should not be reported on your consumer report. We know, family, that a credit card is your social security number, your social security card. And don't believe anything I'm saying right now. I don't want y'all to believe a word I'm saying. I don't. I want you to go look up, stop what you're doing, go look up 15 USC 1681. 1681A, excuse me. Then scroll down number 3, look at the exclusion section and what should be excluded from a consumer's report. And from there, I want you guys to then, interpret and determine whether it's factual or not. I never want y'all to believe a thing I say. I don't want, when we get 300,000 subscribers on this channel, I still don't want you to believe a word that I say, family. And that's because there's so much out there on the internet nowadays. I get calls about so many different processes I've never even heard of. And just because I've never heard of it doesn't mean that it's not correct, that it's not possible, it doesn't work. But there's so much stuff out there. Y'all got to go fact check. Y'all just believing in everything y'all see on the internet. See, and that's one thing that I pride myself on within this channel is I want y'all to go look up everything that I'm telling y'all. I don't want you to believe in anything that I say. I want you to go. I want you to go study for yourself. I want you to go look into these laws and these codes so that you know them for yourself. All I'm here to do is break them down differently so that anybody and everybody can go out and use them. And so let's get into it. I'm excited. I'm grateful. I'm blessed, to be here, to be educated and pouring into every single one of you guys. I'm grateful for every single one of you guys raising your frequencies to align with everybody that's on this call. We're all on the same frequency right now. So, I want to pride every single one of you guys and show gratitude towards you guys for doing such. Yo, you just killed it. The Social Security card. Yes, sir. So we're going to go over how to build credit outside of your Social Security number. And no, once again, I'm going to make it clear, we are not talking about CPNs at all on this call, on this live. We are going over actually what my business partner specializes in, where his channel has been able to take him, over 20,000 subscribers. He's been able to empower thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, over 20,000 people from the information he's teaching. And a big part of it is the success he's had. And I've seen it firsthand. And I'm going to have him on here. And I'm going to drop the, video of this as well too. And me and him have done a live together and where I showed this testimonial video. But one of my mentees, Billy Homer, I'll get him on a phone call with you guys. He actually put me on to Taekwon. Right from there, this is how I started learning about the EINs and how we can build out an EIN on the personal credit side. He's been able to acquire. I personally haven't. I'm still building mine out right now, and I understand everything is a process. I'm in the part of building mine out right now. But my business partner, Billy, he's gone through the process and executed on it. He's acquired over 2 Amex cards, which through this EIN, through this separate personal credit profile, and everything in which all the steps he took were specifically from this next speaker you guys are going to be hearing from my business partner, from my brother, from my mentor, Taekwon X. And there's no telling, where he's going to be, where we're going to be in the next year with the information that we're given on a daily, on a weekly basis. I don't know too many channels that are giving value at the rate in which we are giving it to you guys, as open, as vulnerable, and as transparent as possible. And so I'm super excited for you guys to hear from him. But before we do, I do want to cover 6 different, things that we got to look at on our consumer report before even thinking about getting funding, before even thinking about, you know, going to get this auto loan. There's so many different ways which you guys can go out and acquire funding. I'm gonna let him cover maybe a couple different ones, on this live, and some of the testimonies in which some of his clients have acquired funding through this EIN on the personal credit side. So no, it's not an EIN on the business credit side. I know a lot of us are familiar with EINs in which we do acquire on the business credit side, but this EIN in which we're referring to on today's call is specifically in regards to the personal credit side. And so I'm going to let him touch upon that. But when it comes to building out this EIN, when it comes to building out your social, when it comes to even building out a CPN, it doesn't matter what type of number. But remember, family, we're not here to learn about CPNs, but just understanding any consumer report. There's 6 data points that these lenders are looking for, right? 6 data points. I want y'all to write down YBC's 6 data points. I want you to write down Billionaires Club 6 data points. I'm going to show you the 6 data points that I make sure all of my clients hit before even thinking about. And I'm not talking about before going to get it done. I'm talking about before thinking about acquiring funding. We're making sure we hit these 6 data points. If we don't hit these 6 data points, getting funding isn't even a thought. Because why go through the process of adverse action and having to send them adverse action letters and how they've discriminated against us and breaking down the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, the FCC? Why go through all of that when we can, once we've gotten our debts fully discharged and we're able to control the consumer report, now we can properly build it. If we don't got anything on it, we don't got to worry about anything negative, because I know there are people on here that don't have anything negative. Not everybody on here has derogatory counts as suffering or drowning in debt. Some of you guys are just like, yo, I just need to learn how I can build my consumer report. And that's great. And I got something for you guys right here. But even for you guys that do have negative items, that's why I thought to myself, yo, how can I help those that do have negative items and where we are working on the report, to clean out their socials, personal credit report? How can we still help them? How can we still help them acquire funding outside of, going, through the arbitration process? How can we still help them, go out and leverage the FICO credit scoring system? And I thought to myself, yo, why would I not collab with my brother Taekwon, where he can help you guys build out an EIN, all while we're fixing and working on the personal credit report? You can be building out this EIN. So either after your personal report is fully clean, You can go acquire funding with this EIN because it's already properly built out. You're hitting these 6 data points, and now you're ready for funding with this EIN. You can go acquire these Amex cards. You can go acquire, you know, I'm not even gonna give you guys too much funding plays. I'm gonna let my brother Taquan, cover that. I just want to cover what y'all need for getting ready to acquire funding, because a lot of you guys are looking to get the bag, but don't have your chips in order to go get the bag. So how are y'all looking to cash in chips when y'all don't got no chips in y'all bag? Y'all gotta get these chips in y'all bag. Y'all gotta get ready. Right, like I said, a lot of y'all, this isn't specifically war, but when it comes to dealing with these debt collectors, these creditors, right, these financial institutions, a lot of y'all are looking to go to war with no ammunition. Y'all not even ready. Y'all don't know the definition section, of the FDCPA, but y'all trying to attack these debt collectors. Y'all don't even know that they never defined the term borrower. Y'all don't even know they never defined the term, loan within the FDCPA. They don't define these things because they're non-existent or they're fictitious. All right, so let's get into it. The 6 data points. So if you do have negative items on your report and you're going through using consumer law to get these things removed, you can still acquire an EIN from my brother Taquan. You can watch his channel to learn how to do so as well too, so that you can build this report out, hitting these 6 data points that I'm about to cover right now. So we're 11 minutes and 50 seconds in. At 12 minutes exactly, I'm gonna get into these 6 data points. Once it's built out, now we can acquire funding once we hit these 6 data points. And from there, we can now hit the 6 data points on the personal credit side with the social, and now have 2 personal credit profiles and where we can build out and leverage. So let's get into it. I'm gonna add my brother Taquan in here. I may even just do the 6 data points after, because I know he's got places to be and people to see. He's a busy man, so I want him to come on here real quick, add value to you guys, and then I'll go over the 6 data points. I came out here to get some peace and love. Peace and love, brother.
Yo, what's good? How you doing?
I'm
You see
highly
me?
blessed, highly favored, bro. Just right now, y'all probably looking at me like I'm
I'm all good.
crazy walking
I'm all
around.
good, family.
You can hear me good?
You breaking up? Yeah, you breaking up right now, King.
Okay, let me get connected to the Wi-Fi because I was waiting for some food.
Hey, how y'all doing, family? What's going on? Isaiah, what's up, bro? What's up, Christian? How you doing? What's good, family? Yes, one moment.
Okay, can you hear me good?
I see you,
Okay,
bro. Yeah, I see you.
perfect, perfect,
What's up,
perfect.
bro? What's going on with you?
Peace and love, family. How you feeling, bro?
What's
How you
good?
feeling, King?
Come on, it's still breaking up.
Okay. All right, I know we good. I know we good now. I had to connect to some Wi-Fi real quick. I'm actually in the parking lot waiting for my vegan pizza to be done. But number one is your payment history. Let me stay over here so the Wi-Fi don't. All right, we should be good now. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the group chat or in the chat box if we're good or not. I'm literally connected to McDonald's Wi-Fi. This is the only thing I'll ever get from McDonald's ever again in my life. I'll never get nothing other than the free Wi-Fi from McDonald's. I remember when I used to have just iPod. I couldn't even think of the name of it. I was gonna say iPhone, but it wasn't a phone. It was an iPod, but I used it as an iPhone when I was like 12 or 13. I loved going to McDonald's because they always had that Wi-Fi. I know all the spots that got the Wi-Fi. I done been phoneless growing up more than, well, not phoneless. I had a phone with no service, probably more than anybody on this call growing up, just because family couldn't afford it. But all right, let's get into it. McDonald's, yes, we here, but never will we ingest. Never, 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 never. All right, family. So 6 data points. Let's get into it. I would love if anybody watching the replay could just drop in the chat box. Skip to 16 minutes because we've had a couple of different buffering, difficulties, technical difficulties just as a whole. So let's hop into it. I appreciate, I value every single one of you guys for your time. So the 6 data points. Number one, first things first is the payment history. We want to have 100% payment history. Any late or missed payments is going to drastically affect our report. That's 35% of our report. The next thing that we want to look at, I'm going to skim through these data points within a minute or two. So then I'm going to have my brother Taquan X come up in here and give game to the people. So number 2 is your utilization. You want to have it below 10% utilization. I know they typically tell you, you want to have it below 30%, but you guys that do have cards out right now, let's say your limit for those credit cards is 10,000. The utilization in which I would recommend you every single month having it report, you can max out and use all 10,000. That's fine, but when they report it, find out 2 dates. Find out the closing date and the reporting date in which these banks, in which you guys have these credit cards with, are reporting to the consumer reporting agencies, not the bureaus, but the consumer reporting agencies. Remember, the bureau is only the CFPB. So that's number 2, the utilization. We want to have between 2 to 9%. Anything below that, 10%. I know they typically tell you 30%, but no, we want to have anywhere from 2 to 9%. The next thing is we want to have our age of credit anywhere above 3 to 4 years. This is where my brother Taquan X also comes, in with everything in which we have just as a whole, because not only can he help you build out an EIN. I know many people have asked me, yo, Credit Gotti, is there ways in which I can go out and get old debts assigned to my consumer report? These are things in which my brother Taquan X does offer as well too. He's launching a whole business around it himself. So different primary accounts that you guys do see out there, like Rental Karma or let's see, kickoff lending, right? These are reporting, accounts. These accounts report to the consumer reporting agencies, which help build your consumer report. So we're going to be able to build and add on accounts like that, but they're going to be heavier debts. We'll be able to add on, auto loans that are 5 to 10 years old, etc. Same thing on the mortgages side as well too. So those that are going to look to acquire mortgages will be able to add on mortgages that are 10 years old, 15 years old, $500,000, $250,000. So depending upon the type of trade line and debt in which you guys are looking to get reassigned to your guys' consumer report will depend upon the price. But these are the things in which we're going to be bringing to you guys. Outside of that, some things you guys can do on your own, in the meantime, is add-on rental accounts, add-on Rental Karma, like I just mentioned, add-on Rent Reporters, add-on Credit My Rent. Those are 3 rental accounts which will boost your score tremendously. Those are heavy accounts right there I just gave to you guys. And so those are 3 accounts which will help age, your report. But you want to add on anywhere from you want to have anywhere from 3 to 4 years of credit history just as a whole. If that doesn't work, which it will work, but if you guys don't have the funds to do such, if you guys have anybody in your family that has a good credit card, that's been open for some time, that's got some, history on it in terms of the age. It's also got a high limit and low utilization with 100% payment history, because remember, all of these 6 data points that I'm covering will also reflect onto your report when it comes to you getting added on to an authorized user. So any authorized user you guys think about getting added on to, which typically most people have heard of a trade line, which you guys can go to Trade Line Central, Trade Line Supply, etc. to get these added on to your guys' reports. But I do recommend a family member, somebody somebody you trust, etc. And plus, it's going to be longer than that 60-day time frame, which most trade lines typically are on there for. The next one, the fourth one, is you want to have 2 to 3 years of credit. You want to have 0 derogatory accounts. The next one, so nothing negative, no evictions, no repos, no charge-offs. If you guys got any of that, go through all of the other videos we have to help you guys use consumer law to get these debts discharged, not only removed, but remember, deletion is admission. That's them admitting to breaking the federal law. So therefore, now we can hold them civilly liable. 0 derogatories. Next, we want to have as well too 2 to 3 inquiries. So we only want to have 2 to 3 inquiries. We don't want to look and be at a high risk to these lenders. And last but not least, we want to have 10 open accounts. A couple different ones are Bright Money, Credit Strong, and those other 3 rental accounts that I gave you guys. So I'm gonna step out of the way of greatness. I'm gonna add my brother Quan X in here. It does seem, every time me and him try to go live on YouTube, some technical difficulty. What's good for me? It's like every time we go live, some technical difficulty tries to stand in our way, but
Yeah,
today's not the day.
my wife. I
Today's
think
not
my
the day.
connection was off, King. My
No, it's
connection was
good,
off.
brother.
I had went somewhere else. What's going on with you?
Peace and love, family. I'm out here waiting for some vegan pizza real quick. I'm just in a parking lot. I was like, yo, let's throw down for the people. And so it don't matter where we at, we constantly on go, but we here to deliver for the people. And so I'm excited to hear from you above all else. I'm excited to ask you a couple questions. I was giving them a little insight on how a year back I really, came to find about your channel, and that's really what did propel, my success, in which I was having in my communities as well too, because it allowed us to operate just completely different, as I was just referring and talking about right now. Yes, and these are things in which Billy, and Billy, we talked about him a little bit
Yeah,
on the last live, has done himself. He was working on his personal, credit. We're getting everything removed with consumer law with his social. All
yeah,
while doing that, though, he's actually who got me plugged in with your channel. He found out about the EINs, which I want you to go more in depth in. Just to somebody that is new, just finding out about how I can start building credit outside of my social. I want you to inform and educate them. But he's the one about a year and a half who showed me everything. From there, he created his own success stories, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. And I'm working on mine right now. In the meantime, getting mine to report and everything. But I want them to hear from you. I want them to hear, from somebody that's been doing that's helped multiple success stories be created within this realm. I want to hear some things in which you've helped, some success stories of yours that you've created. And then just for anybody that is new, finding out about how to build credit outside of the social, some things that I would leave
yeah.
them off with. Go ahead, my
Okay,
brother.
what's good, family? So pretty much, my name's Shaquan X, and so let me explain a little bit how the EIN work, right? So for many years, most people been using a method of the CPN number, right? The credit privacy number, right? Now, when most people use the CPN, they used to tell people, hey, you get a house with a CPN number, you can get a car with a CPN number, and it was actually true. But the flip side to utilizing the CPN number was the fact that the CPN number is not recognized. Because when you go through the banking system and they check like the data and information like that, when you make a fake number out of thin air and it's not registered with the government, it's not registered with the Social Security Administration, it kind of give the banks a red flag. And so since the number is not recognized, it usually gives the banks a red flag. And so what I did was I took that same method where people learn how to create a CPN number, and I utilized it towards the EIN number. Now the EIN number is a government issue number that's from the IRS. Now most people start up business bank accounts usually with an IRS EIN number, right? Now, the EIN number is actually already within every banking system. So usually, anytime the EIN number is used, it's easy access. The same way your Social Security number is recognized through the banking system is the same way your EIN number is recognized through the banking system because it's both a government issue number. The SSN comes from the Social Security Administration, which is recognized, and the employer identification number comes from the IRS. Now, the flip side to the EIN, most people associate the EIN number for business. So they say, "Oh, are you talking about building my business credit? Are you talking about me starting a corporation?" No, I'm talking about you obtaining the EIN number and using it personally. Now, when you utilize an EIN number personally, you pretty much utilizing it like a social. So this is actually your new social security number, right? But it's not technically a social, but you just utilizing it for a personal credit profile. So many people who will be facing troubles like, say, criminal convictions, they'll be dealing with, let's just say, if you got an eviction on your name, or you got a foreclosure, or you have a lot of debt, right? And you can't even get an apartment. Now, what other remedies you can use? Always you can use the EIN number, right? But you have to learn how to build up your profile first. So since many people don't know how to build the profile up, let me explain. So when you, let's just say originally, when you building up your EIN number, it start off like this. The first thing you always have to do is create a profile, right? So when you create a profile, when you generate a profile, you pretty much applying for something. Basically, by you initiating like an inquiry, that inquiry go to all three credit bureaus. So say if you apply for a credit card, right? So you apply for a credit card. Let's just say you went to Chase, right? And you apply for a credit card. Now Chase usually run Experian or Equifax. The moment you enter your information, and when you get to the part where they ask you for your social, instead of you putting your social, you actually put your EIN number. Now, the moment you put your EIN number in, that's when that inquiry go directly to the credit bureaus. Once that inquiry go to the credit bureaus, and once they get it right, now within 3 days, that inquiry will generate a report. That report will go towards your credit profile. So it's gonna have your name, it's gonna have that EIN number, it's gonna have your phone number, it's gonna have your email. And the moment you create a profile, that's when you go into building it, as far as like adding authorized users, adding primary accounts, and that's when you go towards getting a bank account with it. So instead of you using a social, you always would use the EIN number in the lieu of the social. You get what I'm saying? And so once you get a checking account with it, so now you got full motion. You got a bank account with it. You apply for a credit card. Now, of course, you're not going to get the credit card, but the purpose of you applying for a credit card was to create the profile. Once the profile get created, that's when you go into building it, right? So you will build it just like you would build a normal credit card or a normal social. But the thing about it, it saves you so much hassle. So if you was in a position or a situation where, let's just say, you had a lot of debt, right? So if you got a lot of debt and everything like that under your social, your EIN number is a fresh start. So that's easily you can get a new apartment. That's easily you can get inside of a new car. That's easily you can get a bank account if you in check systems. You get what I'm saying? So you can fully separate yourself from your social by utilizing the EIN number, right? So I also offer a process where I teach people how to build their EIN numbers up, how to establish your credit profile, how to add trade lines, and also how to add primary accounts. And I go in so deep where I teach you how to check your credit criteria, because most people is under the impression that the banks look at a credit score, but that's not necessarily what they look for. They look for certain data points on your profile. And what I do is I teach you one of the four major factors of credit, right? One of the four major factors is revolving accounts. The other major factor is installment, right? The other major factor is history. And the other major factor is amount of debt. So how much debt are you managing? How old is your accounts? Do you deal with any installment accounts? Installment accounts will be personal loans, auto loan, and mortgages, right? So people can't mix up installment debt with revolving. Revolving would be something like a credit card. Revolving would be something like if you go on, let's just say you go on a website and bought a book bag and you paying towards that. Like it's a little different. So you got installment, you got revolving debt. So those are some of the factors that banks look at. And once you complete all four of those factors and put that into account, that's when you will be looking towards getting approved for 90% of credit applications, because you meet all data points. And on top of that, every bank lending criteria is different. So the same way you might have motion with Chase Bank, you might not have that same motion with Bank of America. The same way you might get in with Navy Fed, you might not get through with Penn Fed like that. So you need to understand the banking institution that you go towards, right? That you go to. So I pretty much will help you and check your credit criteria and see where you at, whether you're using a social or EIN. I can look at your credit profile and I can tell you what you can get just off the bat. If I check your Experian report and I look at the most updated report as far as your Equifax, your Experian, and your TransUnion, and I look at the amount of inquiries you have, the amount of debt you have, the amount of accounts you have, the longest account that you had open, I will automatically tell you what would you get. Some people might come in and say, "Hey man, I want a $80,000 Mercedes Benz. Let me look at your report." When I look at their report, I'm like, "Nah, you won't get a $80,000 Benz." But if I look at it and I check your credit criteria, I can tell you like, yeah, you will get it. You get what I'm saying? So family, you can easily contact me at 224-463-1848. That's what I deal with primarily. I teach people how to build their EIN numbers up, or I can build it for you. And I also, if you already have established credit on your social, I can also check your credit criteria for you to just give you an explanation or idea of what you actually can get, especially if you already got a banking relationship with an institution already. So if you're with a USAA or a Navy Fed or a Chase, I can tell you, I can let you know exactly what their lending criteria is, and I can show you how to get in. Yeah.
Okay, I was on mute.
Yeah. Hold on, it's mute. It's breaking up. It's breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. And so if you guys pay very close attention to everything that he was referring to as far as all of the criterias, they go right back into the 6 data points in which we were just referring to and breaking down. And so Taquan, do you recommend for those that do have negative items on their social, just from what you've seen, the success in what you've seen, to also build out this EIN while getting their personal credit fixed with the social? Or what do you recommend in terms of that? Do you recommend fully cleaning the social before getting before getting the EIN, or doing them both at the same time, building the EIN and cleaning your social? Because I know a lot of people that do come onto the channel do have debts on their consumer report that came to the channel to learn consumer law to get them discharged. And so with those that are here for that do have negative items on their social security number, what would you recommend?
I would say simultaneously, it's nothing wrong with utilizing the EIN in your social. So for me, right, I've been using the EIN for almost 2 years, but I'm just in the process of building my social. I clean my entire social out with the help of others. I had people helping me, clean up my social and everything. But for the most part, it's good to manage both. I got accounts that's open strictly with the EIN. I got accounts that's open strictly with the social. You get what I'm saying? I got accounts that's open without. I got accounts that are open without a social or EIN number. So it worked just like that. So it really just depends on the situation. Now, this is what I will say. When it come down to the EIN or the social, if you had to really run it up on one of them, right, I would always prefer the social. And I'm gonna tell you why. Some people might say, why would you say that? Now, you can get far with the EIN. You can become a millionaire, right? You can grow your accounts up to a lot, right? Like me, I had Chase credit card accounts, Business Unlimited Inc. My available balance was 32,005. I got Navy Federal credit card, business card, 7,000 on limit. Another Navy Federal Platinum card for 7,000 on limit. Another Chase card for 5,000 on limit. Another business Chase card for 3,000 on limit. And these all under the EIN number, right? But understand this: when you're dealing with when you're trying to get into the big boy leagues, you're talking about $100,000 credit limits, $200,000 credit limits. Most of the time, major banks would run something called an SSN verification. Now, mortgage lenders run this as well. So when they run the SSN verification, sometimes you might not get as far as you think, right? But that's why you want to be very careful. So if you're in a position, like say for instance, I know a lady right now. She deal with credit right now. Her American Express is at a $200,000 limit on her. What card was it? It was the gold card. It was a gold American Express, and she also got a platinum American Express card with a limit of 400,000. You get what I'm saying? So you got people that are checking the bag. Now the 27.5 that I had, it was really good. But what if it's a time like it came where the bank tried to verify my social, but they couldn't? That's the time when you pull. That's the time when you pull from it. Take everything out, you cash out on the machine. Yes, it might goes in collections, but guess what? With an EIN number, you can dispute the debt and you can hold on to the number. I wouldn't suggest just ditching it and get rid of it, but make sure you maintain it like a social. But as far as which one you can go further with, you can go further with both. But I'm always gonna say the social because when you're dealing with the real estate portion of it, that's the part that you want to get into You want to be in a position where you can buy real estate. You want to be in a position where you can get your credit limits at 150,000, 200,000. You get what I'm saying? So you have to build both of them simultaneously, I would say, and test out the results. But from my experience, I went further with the EIN. But as far as logic, like what I actually know now, I know I can go further with the social. But you have to be very strategic with the social because remember this: when you building up an EIN number, that number is a number that you design as your credit profile. It's not you; it's your credit profile that you created. But your social is you. This is you we talking about. So if you mess up your social, you really can hurt yourself. So people who be going out there and getting student loan debt of 150,000 or $200,000 in student loan debt, they mess their entire life up. But let's just say a person who never had student loans, who never put themselves in massive debt, right? And they had a clean start with credit, they can become a millionaire, especially if they understand the rules in the game. One thing that people need to understand is you need to understand banks and lending criteria. Once you understand how banks judge you as far as how credit works, it's easy to obtain any loan. So once I start realizing it, right, I hacked my bank to give me more money. So at first, they started me off with a credit card limit of 3,000. I called the bank and requested for an increase. I told them that I made 2.5 million, so they increased it. They only increased it to 5,000. I called them back again and I told them that I have a project that we putting together. So I asked them for another increase from that 5,000. They increased it again to 10,500. I wasn't satisfied. I called the bank again, asked them for another increase. They denied it, right? But then I came back 2 weeks later, asked for another increase. They increased it to 15,000. Okay. So I waited 30 more days, left it alone 30 more days. Then I called them again. I requested for another increase. They increased it to 22.5. So that same week, I called them the very next day. This is my final time doing it. I asked them for another increase. They increased it to 27.5. My whole goal was I wanted to get to 50,000 at least on the credit, just on the credit side, just on the credit side. So you got to know how to talk to your credit card issuer because most of the time the banks will put you on the phone with the underwriter. All you need to know is a good script to tell the underwriter. And once you tell them a good script, you can gradually grow your credit limit just like that on the business side. You get what I'm saying? And guess what? When you put your credit at a $50,000 limit, every bank is competing with each other. So you can be banking with 4 or 5 business bank. You can have 4 or 5 business bank accounts, and once they see that you actually have a credit card limit for a business card of $50,000, they're gonna be competing with them. So 50,000 from one bank, 30,000 from another bank, 20,000 from another bank, 30,000 from another bank. And so what? $150,000 we're talking about. So if you get 125,000, 150,000 of credit, you can turn that credit until you can be a multimillionaire. All you need to understand is how bank lend, how lending criteria works, and what you can actually do to maximize the amount of credit that you can receive. Now, if you're in a position where you got over millions of dollars worth of credit cards and you got assets and stuff like that, man, you can really take off. You really can take off. You don't have to be a genius and have to go to college and all that. No, you can really just understand how banks work. Because really understand this, the banks control everything. The banks like finance everything. So once you understand how to actually get inside the institutions and really understand how to uh, use it to your advantage, you can become a millionaire like that.
100%.
And on top of that, you can be in a position where you can discharge. That's all I gotta say, bro. Yeah, for sure.
Come on, and that's where everything comes full circle,
Yep.
and with everything which we're both teaching, and that's why I highly advise you guys get tuned in with his channel as well too. If anybody that's tuned in from my channel that has not tuned into his yet, where can they find you? And somebody else asked as well too, how can we reach out to you again? Can you drop your number one more time?
If y'all want to reach out to me, you can text or call my number at 224-463-1848. Again, it is 224-463-1848.
And so, as far as with the EIN, what are some differences with with the CPN and with the EIN, aside from the fact that it's government issued, as far as things in which you can acquire with this EIN versus with the CPN?
Now you say what is something you can't acquire?
What are some things that you can per se acquire with the EIN versus with the CPN in which you can't acquire? Are there certain things that you can
Not a
do with the
lot. Like,
EIN that
don't
you
get me
can't do?
wrong. It's easy to get red flag with a CP.
Okay.
It's easy to get red flags. So once you run it through the banking system, right? People get apartments with CPNs all the time. That's not nothing new, right? But the shocking thing is when they try to open up bank accounts and they try to utilize the CPN as their social, a lot of time the bank is recognized and rejected automatically. It's been plenty of times I put my EIN over in, it processed easy, smooth. But some people will put the CPN number in and it would reject it because the CPN number you will have to try merge it 100% correctly. You don't even have to fully try merge the EIN. You can have a fresh EIN to open up a bank account. Like fresh, you ain't even have to did nothing to it because it's already recognized. It's a recognized number.
And
So
so,
it,
how many EINs can you create then as well too that you'd be able to use and build out as well too?
unlimited. It's unlimited amount. But I would say stick to two and build them out because if you just try to get 100 EINs, it's like you're not focusing on uh to building one. You just want a lot of numbers. So the numbers itself is not going to get you the credit. It's the meat on it. It's the profile. Because like your credit score is like a Facebook profile. Depending on the profile, how pretty the profile is what banks look at. So certain data points you got to include on that EIN. If you don't have installments, if you don't have revolving accounts, if you don't have loan history with the bank, if you're not building up your EIN like that, it's like every way you shoot your shot at is going to reject you because your profile look high risk, right? So you
There's
want to have a safe, secure profile before you shoot your shot.
It's like people that have a million accounts but no followers on those million accounts versus having
Yeah.
one or two accounts that got a million followers where versus Instagram accounts is what I'm referring to versus like having one or two EIN accounts where I can build out in essence with this analogy have the million followers acquire $1 million half a million in funding acquire funding as a whole with these one or two accounts versus having 100 different accounts that I'm focused on spreading myself too thin. So what he's saying is one or two accounts will help you guys acquire and get the bag a lot more efficiently and help you guys just be focused rather than you know trying to spread yourself once getting too thin. And
Yep.
so with the EIN, a question for you. Say, because I know a couple people in which have generated a 9-8 number. So if they've generated a 9-8 number, because I know 9-8 numbers will pull up as they won't pull up on the personal credit side because it's a foreign EIN number typically with that 9-8 number. And so, what would you recommend to those that do have a 9-8 number? Would you recommend reapplying, or what would you recommend in terms of having
Okay, now
a 9-8?
for 98 numbers, I'm gonna explain that, but I'm gonna go into like all types of numbers, right? So when you're dealing with 98 numbers, right? If you claim to be an American and being from America and you use a 98 number as your social, the bank is gonna automatically reject that because 9 numbers are issued under I-10 numbers, which would be an individual tax identification number. So you're gonna look like a foreigner. So if you were saying, "Hey, I'm from China, and this is my I-10 number," and you use that EIN number, it will be perfect. But using the I-10 number, I mean, using the 9 number, a number that starts with a 9 to open up a bank account and you claim it to be a U.S. citizen or an American, it's automatically going to reject it because it doesn't recognize a 9 number. So
Okay.
when y'all looking at how Social Security numbers is issued, Social Security numbers start from 0 to 8. I mean, no, 0 to 7. Let me be honest. So security numbers start from 0 to 7. So it's only 8 numbers that's been established for the social. It's not anything over 9. I mean over 8. So it's 0 to 7. And
0 to 7.
also, if you stuck with a 9 number, right? This year the IRS was issuing nothing but 9 numbers. But let me explain how you can actually do something different. Now you got all types of numbers that's issued by the government. You have Dun and Bradstreet. Dun and Bradstreet will be almost the same thing because that number is actually a government issue number as well. So Dun and Bradstreet, you got BIN number. BIN number will be your business identification number. This will be a number that's issued by Experian Credit Union. I mean Experian. So Experian issue numbers to corporations and businesses. Once you file like your tax documents, you can actually search up Experian BIN login, and you can find you can search up your company information, and you will be assigned a BIN number. And that BIN number is a 9-digit number. Mine start with a 4. So that 4 number that I can use as an SSN number, and it's already recognized. You get what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, you did it to him right there, but that was different.
I ain't never made a video on that. I never made a video on that yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say I ain't heard that one on the YouTube yet.
Yeah, that BIN number, yeah, it's real. Yeah.
100%. That's clean. And so, yeah, I love that. And so, outside of the EIN, what are some things that you want to leave people off with that they feel that you feel is in your heart, on your heart right now, on your chest, that you just want to leave people off with, outside of the EIN and just everything that's going on in the world? Because I mean, with what we're seeing now in the news, I seen your yesterday's live and stuff. That's why I'm asking this question specifically. Like, what do you want to just leave people off with, in terms of everything in which is going on, and in terms of things in which we're teaching and we got at our fingertips.
Okay, so in 2023, the world we going through a global recession, right? So the rich is gonna get rich and the poor is gonna get poor. One thing I want to lead you guys to understand is the bank is the central cause of all economic issues. The moment you understand the banks and you understand how they lend, the goal is to use it and monopolize from the banks. Use the banks to your greatest advantage and understand how the banking system works. Once you understand how the banking system works, understand how the credit system works, and understand which way you can utilize that to your advantage to obtain as much credit as you want. You get what I'm saying? So this is a debt-based system. Money is not real. Everything is debt and obligation, and the goal is to either settle the debt or discharge it. But just understand how the system works. Once you understand it, live your best life. I'm having a ball. Free cars, never paid a car note. Credit cards, never paid back. Took them off, and you just continue building. You constantly figure out what other ways you can grow financially. Like what ways I can learn more about this banking system. What ways I can understand. How can I run up and get $100,000 credit card? How can the bank lend me $1 million? You can get a LTV loan, a loan of value, where you can put down 10%, and the bank will let you borrow the other 900,000, which would be $1 million in return, because you can put down that 10% and you can borrow against it. You get what I'm saying? You can borrow against like that just using the banking system, just like that, family. So understand this is all a debt-based system. You need to understand the banks, understand how the bank lend, and how the bank lends to people, and use that to your advantage. To take, oh really, this is a recession. Everything going up in price. And the dollar is constantly being destroyed. The dollar's not worth nothing today, and everything's really debt. So don't look at money like it's actually money. It's not money, it's debt. The more money you have that you think you have is nothing but debt. Every dollar you spend, you are making the United States more in debt. Everything you do, you put the country more in debt. The more they extend credit to you, the more you put the country in debt. The more your employer pays you, you put the country more in debt. The more you pay off a bill that you think you're paying the bill, you put the country more in debt. It's nothing but a debt-based system. You got to learn how to use debt to get more debt, to get more debt. It's nothing. That's how the rich get richer, by debt. Yeah, that's all. Right. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I mean that's bars right there. I mean, in terms of that's what we pride ourselves on within this channel is knowing how to operate within this game of commerce, because that's what it is at the end of the day. And everything, like you mentioned, is debt. And so by understanding consumer law, by understanding the things in which you teach, status change, how to get out of their jurisdiction, how to create these other personal credit profiles, this is what's going to help us operate different and operate in a state of creation of building, rather than in a state and in a lack, or looking to get things removed. Now we're focusing on building, like you just mentioned, and on acquiring certain things. And so that's where we want to get. And in order to get there, we got to put the work and we got to apply the things in which we're teaching within these lives and within all of our channels. So if you guys don't already, go follow my brother Saquon X. I mean, if you guys would love to see more collabs with us, Drop. Let's see. What should we have them drop in the chat? Because a lot of people watching the replay will drop some things as well too. So drop unity drop in the comments or in the chat box right now. Unity. If y'all want to see more collaboration with me and my brother Taquan, I'm even thinking something at least, one time every other week, which is 2 times a month minimum. If not 3 to 4 times a month, 1 time a week. If that's good with you guys and good with him as well too. So y'all let me know. Even if it was for a limited time, 60 days, where every week we go live 1 time. What you think, Taquan? Would you be with that?
Yeah, as long as people learning and they understand what's going on, they're getting the results. The goal is for y'all to get the results.
100%.
If anybody need information on how to build y'all EIN, you can contact me at 224-463-1848, fam. But yeah, it was a good night, bro. It was a real good time, bro. So
Great night. 100%, King. Well, I appreciate you for your value. I appreciate you coming in here and just pouring everything into everybody that tuned in and everybody that's watching this replay. For those that are watching the replay, make sure you guys are tuned in with everything Taquan has going on with him and his movement. Don't miss out on it, because what got us here to this position ain't gonna get us there. In order to get us to our goals, all the things in which we aspire to do, we got to continue growing. We got to continue making sure you guys are getting results yourself. And neither of our channels would be growing if people weren't coming in here, learning and getting the value. But most of all, we want to make sure you guys are applying the information. So get involved within our communities. He has a Telegram group chat as well too, in which a lot of people in there are getting. I'm seeing success, stories on a weekly basis. So get into with this Telegram channel, get into with this community, and where you guys are going to be seeing a lot more of us together in that unity. Because alone, I can go fast. Alone, Taquan can go fast, but together we can go further.
Yep. Yes, sir. Peace and love, bro.
Peace and
For
love,
sure.
brother. Appreciate you.
All right, y'all. Peace and love,
Yeah.
family.
Peace and love, family. We'll see y'all at the top, because the bottom is way too crowded. We out.
Yeah.
Let's get it.